For well over 1,000 years, this region has been a center for agriculture and all of the products that come alongside it. Homegrown is an ongoing series spotlighting the people who continue that tradition and their wares. Presented by Sid's Food Market, with the hope that we continue to spark an ongoing renaissance as we move into the future.
So I'm Lucas Salazar. I'm sixth generation on this farm. We're here in my parents' home that I grew up in. And my family has been farming and working this land for about 6 generations, since around the 1850s. This location is really ideal, right near the rivers for raising the cattle, because it regenerates really well. As soon as that spring water hits, the growth here is just incredible. In terms of carbon sequestration, that's one way that we get all this to grow so abundantly is the cattle are eating it down, and then they're fertilizing it every year, and then that is going to make it so that green just pops up so much better the next season. And you can create a sustainable ratio there to all that if you're careful. There's something to say about a delicate balance with the whole thing, but if these riparian areas are managed properly, then it can be a great benefit for the health of the animals, great benefit to the environment, and a great benefit for human health as well. So within a grass-fed and finished, very important to say, most cattle in this country actually start out grass-fed. But then the majority of them, after they get not too far off of a weaning time with their moms, they get sold through sale barns that then go to big, huge conglomerate companies that then put them on corn for a period of time, or some sort of grain mix for a period of time, which in effect reverses a lot of the health benefits that those animals would have given if they could have continued to grow on grass. By putting all that corn in their system, it's not a natural feed for them, and it creates an unhealthy situation in their guts. Whereas if they can just stay on grass for their entirety of their lives, the fat content in this meat has a much higher ratio of the omega-3 versus omega-6 fatty acids. And also, if you're trying to stay away from fat in general, you're not eating a whole bunch of unhealthy fats if you're eating a grass-fed animal. So there's some advantages for human health there. Within this 550 acres, that can support a few hundred head of cattle. It's somewhere around the number of 300. It depends on the year and what needs to happen with the cows, and how water situations are and so forth. So that fluctuates, but it's about 300 cattle are raised, and then I'm raising up to 200 pigs. And the pigs were not bringing into the same areas as the cattle, because they can have a tendency to kind of ruin the land that has been managed so well for so many years for the cows. So we kind of keep them off to the side on higher ground. And with the pigs, what we're really looking to do is to have a very high quality heritage breed of pork, which we do with the Berkshire pigs. We raise 100% registered Berkshires. And then we do all of our feed sourcing locally. And then the pigs have about 50 times the space allotted for any kind of commercially grown animal. So these animals run around all day, or in the hot times they kind of laze around all day and wallow in the mud, and they get to really use their bodies, and that's a big part of the quality with them is pigs are rooting animals, and they love to get their heads down and do this. That's the main thing a pig does. It likes to get its snout into the ground and kick that up. That's what a pig does. Commercial pigs are on concrete. They don't get a root. A lot of the pigs that are grown in the industrial world do not get to even root at all. So our animals are rooting their entire lives, and then they are only trucked a quarter mile when it's slaughter day, and that is an incredibly low stress way to manage them. So we employ about 5 people at Salazar Meats. Depends during the seasonality. We have a really busy season that happens in the fall, and then the spring kind of tends to lighten up a little bit. And we produce products from the very beginning of the process to the very end of the process. Again, we even raise some of the animals that come through here. And we also do private contract processing for the community. And then once we bring them in there, we have the whole slaughter service and the whole hanging aging service. and then the processing service and basic cuts of the animal. But then from there, we can value add many different things. Some examples would be like Slim Jim snack sticks, summer sausage, bacon, specialty hams. We're even have been getting into some really long dried products like salami type products. The unique thing about Salazar Meats is there are quite a few small-scale meat processing facilities around this region, but very few of them do the processing under USDA inspection. So why this is so important, it's a critical piece of the local food chain, is that you cannot sell the meat. So people could raise, there are so many beef, cattle, goats, sheep raised in this region. And when I say this region, I'm talking about northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. There are so many animal units raised, and the vast majority of those get sold off to sale barns, and a large corporation ends up making that next cut of the animal. They make the cut for finishing the animal a lot of the times, and then for figuring out how to slaughter it and then how to distribute it. Whereas we can grab all of those and keep them, but if we don't have the USDA slaughter and processing capacity locally, all of that value leaves the community. And that is what, without looking really closely at it, it's probably 90% or greater of that potential value we have is sold off to corporations here in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. So we've had a relationship with SIDS now for probably nearly 10 years. And that's been a critical relationship for us because it's really hard to find a retailer that can move any kind of volume that is willing to work with a really small person. Because when you're a really small, locally sourced situation like we are, there's going to be gaps. Almost inevitably, there's going to be gaps. And SIDS has shown that they're willing to work with some of the logistical complications to make sure they still support the local guy. So that's one reason why SIDS has been really great to work with. Another is that they haven't hassled us for the price. Some people we've tried to work with have always just been trying to have us bring our price point down, and just the reality when you're doing an operation in this way, there's extra cost to doing it this way, and we need a certain price point to survive. And I've never had that pushback from SIDS. They've had that trust, and we've had that kind of mutual trust with each other. It's felt like from the beginning, and that's been really meaningful to our business, that we know we have a local place that we can get our product moving at a fair price.